Hello and welcome to A Cup of Conversation with me, your host once again, John Guzzi. And in the studio this week, I'm very lucky to have a very prestigious artist, sculptor, and a very, very interesting subject. Back in August 2018, ARUCAD, that's the Arcad University of Creative Arts and Design, in an open call to artists, designers, architects, and creative minds from all artistic fields and genres, announced the Arcad Award. The project is for a site-specific permanent work to be founded in an elevated mountain location overlooking the town of Guinea and the Mediterranean coastline. And after all the deliberation, 6 works submitted by Leo Calliard, Maurice Bilk, Lotte Blocher, Angela Connor, James Scott, and I'm very lucky to have Steve Anthony in the studio, were selected to proceed to the final selection. And I want to say that this is going to be an amazing interview with Steve Anthony. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. First of all, Steve, welcome to BRTK.
My pleasure to be here, Joe.
A very interesting subject. We have a lot to talk about, but let's go back. Now, I know that you are living here in the Tyrrhenian Sea. How long have you been here on the island?
About 13 years, I think, just coming up for 12, 13 years.
12, 13 years. But you are originally from the UK.
I am.
And whereabouts? I mean, I know that you've lived in many cities in the UK because you've were born somewhere else, you studied somewhere else, you've been around the world. But where would you say you are from in England?
I'm from the historic city of Lincoln, in Lincolnshire, famous for its Gothic cathedral and history, as is most of the UK, of course.
And then you studied
in
Manchester. What did you study?
I did sculpture.
Right, so you are a sculptor, an artist, a man who has great vision. And what was your, because I listened to your interview with my colleague Denise Phillips, a very interesting interview on the radio. And when did your love for art begin? Were you always creative? Were you always artistic from a young age?
Yeah, it's very hard to say where it really begins, isn't it? As I just told Denise, the story of one of my earliest memories is my favourite toys being sacrificed in a fire to teach me the meaning of the word burn.
Yeah.
So it goes right back there, and certainly I got praise for colouring in the lines in colouring books, and it impressed adults. So and it was kind of easy for me, to be honest. So I carried on doing it until I guess about the age of 10. I started selling my first drawings, pictures of birds, a lot of pet portraits, florals, watercolour landscapes, watercolour sunsets, things like that. Then at about 13, I think, when I started painting motorbike tanks for bikers, who it was mainly copying album covers, things like that. The Bat Out of Hell, Meatloaf's album cover,
yeah.
Very familiar with that one. Sword and sorcery, scantily clad ladies with dragons, and that's the sort of
the typical motorcycle culture.
Yeah, that's what they're into, that kind of.
Yeah.
Not always, exclusively. Sometimes it'd be more interesting, but these guys take their machines seriously, man. Their clients you want to please, So it is a tough discipline, a training thing at the deep end.
So, at a young age, as you were saying, from the age of 10, you were selling portraits, or pet portraits, and you made it into something quite unique for yourself. At a young age, how many 10-year-olds are actually doing something like that back in the day? And so
I can't speak for anyone else, Jim.
You were very, very you must have been very talented for people to want to have your work, commission your work. And then, as you said, at the age of 13, doing all the other biking stuff and everything. Did you always think, then, this is the way I want to go and I want to study or continue in the world of art in some way? Is that where you wanted to lead your life in?
Yes. Studying, not so much. I did that more to please my parents, to be the first person of my family to go to a university and stuff like that. Frankly, I could have stayed painting bike tanks, making really good money at that time, for weekends, working at weekends. I was at school.
Yeah.
I had to give that up really when the time demands of art college just got too much. But art college didn't pay. these guys, if you gave them what they wanted, they paid really well. You know?
Yeah.
So it seemed to be something slightly not in the real world. You know what I mean? When you've got some tutor telling you, oh well, that would look good if you did this and you did that. And I said, well, yeah, but it's not mine. You know, the guy will kill me.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, it's the parameters of working in the real world. If you want to, the craft has always been very important to me. I feel that there's a freedom through discipline. So I tried very hard to learn to use a pencil throughout my childhood, really. Not consciously, it just came naturally, I suppose. Because you can't express yourself until you have a mastery over your instrument. So.
Then you were at art school, and
to art college.
It's very different, isn't it, when you're at a school and you're learning techniques and stuff. I mean, because if you have a talent, if you have inspiration or you are talented in art, then really art school, I suppose, helps you to develop that, or maybe gives you techniques to develop. But at the end of the day, if you have a talent, you can go in any direction you want, can't you? And you went in a different direction from your original drawings and watercolours into well, sculpture.
Well, yeah, this is what Andy Warhol called the distinction between art business and business art.
Yeah.
For example, the Marilyn portrait, screen print portrait, I'm sure
Yeah.
everyone's familiar with, is art business. That was the first, the thing. The Liza Minnelli, Liz Taylor, Mick Jagger, the subsequent reworkings of that portrait,
Yeah.
they're business art. That's for money. So the pet portraits, the motorbike tanks, portrait commissions later on, design, graphic design, T-shirts. I've done all sorts of things, applying my craft because
For business.
you know, that seems to me to be maybe there is a tiny percentage of artists in the world that sell a single painting for a couple of £100,000 or more. But most of us, it depends where you are. If you go to India, there's a thriving artistic community painting the film posters for Bollywood films.
Yeah.
You know, that they're getting to paint. I tried to get a job restoring paintings once. I knew a guy who had a company doing that. He told me, I can't employ you. You could do this with your eyes closed, but you know, you won't do it for very long because you should be doing your own stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the most valuable thing any artist can have, is the time to work on the business, the art business.
Yeah.
You know, freed from the business art, which...
Very interesting way of looking at things. You don't see it as business art or art business, but that is how it is, isn't it, really? And if you are doing it as an art for yourself, then what a wonderful life that you're leading. If you are enjoying your art, and if you're enjoying what you're doing, and people are appreciating it, then get rid of the business side of it and just enjoy life.
Well, we can never really get rid of the business side
you
of
have
it,
to
can we?
survive as well.
You know, we have to eat, you know.
After Manchester, after university, you stayed in Manchester for a while, and I know that how did you get involved with sculpting? Because that's a completely different craft, isn't it? That's a completely different sort of medium to work in, because when you have watercolours,
You know,
or is it not?
to some degree, I feel that there's a progression that it's from sketching to maybe rendering of some kind, to painting, to, you know, sculpture just seems to be at the end of that development, you know. Not for everything, obviously, and it should only be the very, very best things that get through, you know, the best ideas, the best concepts that, you know. For me, I feel that I'm not the kind of artist that I'm not privileged enough to be able to just paint all day long and not worry about anything else, you know. Consequently, I have to consider each work. There's very dense, lots of ideas in there, lots of, you know, and I think it's better to make fewer works of better quality, kind of like the Stanley Kubrick approach to his life. He made a film every 5 years, you know.
Yeah.
But they're masterpieces. I'm not saying I've created a masterpiece yet.
Yet, although I think you're on the way.
But I'm hoping so.
I hope so. My fingers are crossed, Steve, for this project. We'll go into that project in a minute, but let me bring you to the TRNC now. So you said you came here about 12, 13 years ago. What brought you to the island of Cyprus?
Well, a family tragedy. We had a family holiday here afterwards because it seemed kind of off the beaten track somehow.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, I fell in love with the place. The harbour, sitting in Kyrenia Harbour, I just thought I really don't want to go back to the UK, which of course I did just to tie up some loose ends and came back a year later.
Yeah.
I've been here since.
You've been here since. So what are you doing here now on a normal, regular 9 to 5 basis? I know you're living in the centre of Guinea, but you know, you packed everything up. You didn't want to go back to the rat race of the UK. You enjoyed the slightly bohemian, off the beaten track lifestyle here in the TRNC. But obviously you have to make a living again. Or are you just happy?
Well, the thing with any artistic career, I would imagine, is that it's a feast or famine thing. You get paid really well, and then there might be months making nothing. So you have to be smart with. Of course, when I was younger, I would just spend it as I got it.
Yeah.
Or put it back into materials or whatever. But no, I was lucky enough to have gathered, you know, to have a momentum. It's not easy, and I'm within a budget and everything, but I can afford the time here.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't do that. If I was living in London, I would be doing some menial job, you know, just for the money.
Just for the money, but
yeah, and the time, I think it was the family tragedy made me realise that is the most valuable thing we have is time, and I feel like this is what I'm here to do. My life is about, and the TRNC also gives me a quality of life better than the UK. Nowhere's perfect, I don't think. Everywhere has its pros and cons.
Yeah.
On balance, I prefer this place. You know, it's near enough to get back to the UK the next day.
Yeah.
But it has fantastic weather. I don't want to stick a label on it, but I get that sad thing, you know, that seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
The modern name for winter blues, yeah?
Yeah, for the blues.
So, yeah, I used to spend the winters in a dark room because it's a constant environment. It didn't really matter, but of course, nobody uses dark rooms anymore.
No. But you're enjoying life here in the TRNC, and I've never met really somebody so interesting and unusual as you, but I thank Denise for bringing us together because of this extraordinary concept that Erkin, Abel Erkin, his idea to build a 40 meter statue above Guinea, above Kyrenia. So he called out to the international art world, and we've got, and I think you were saying that about 70, 80 entrants, weren't there?
Thereabouts, I believe, yeah.
And it's now down to the final 6, although I believe, and we're not quite sure, but you could be in the final 3 at the moment, and we're still waiting for the final result. So, you heard about this project. When you heard for this massive 40-foot structure, and it was meant to be based on a Cypriot,
the noble Cypriot
peasant. What did you think? What was your first initial reaction to hearing of this call out?
This is what I've been waiting for. This is why I'm here. I can see the proposed site from my sofa, okay? So I visualize it in all sorts of weather conditions, in times of day. I can see what it will look like.
So if this comes to fruition, and I really do hope it does, and the winning project will actually be constructed, as you said, you can see it from your home in Kyrenia, it's actually on the best, it's on the mountain, and if we come down from Lefkoshas into Guinea, as we turn the corner,
that last sharp turn,
and where the flags are, it'll be there.
It will be opposite you there. So as you're coming down towards that sharp corner, it will be in front of you, overlooking the whole coastline, the whole,
Yes, towards the sea. When I hear this, the first thing in mind, obviously very, very typical thing that comes into your mind when you think of this type of a statue, this structure, is in Brazil, Christ the Redeemer. And Christ standing over Brazil, and you know his arms stretched out, and everyone knows that landmark. It's a tourist attraction there. Again, similarly, we've got, another statue that you were talking about on the radio with Denise. We have the Statue of Liberty in New York, which is something completely different. She's out there in Manhattan, in the island. But I think Ibn Arkin was saying that he was inspired,
I
wasn't he,
believe so,
by the Brazilian massive statue of Christ. When you thought, right, this is for me, this is where Steve Anthony shines. I actually went and saw with Denise at the art rooms under the house in Guinea, which is an art space, the final 6, and you all made, there are actual models of everyone's proposed design. Very impressed. I'm not saying this because you are here now with me, because the other contestants or the other finalists don't actually live here, not actually on the island of Cyprus. So I can't interview them. Otherwise, I have all 6 of you here discussing.
That would be fun.
That'd be good, wouldn't it? One day. However, I do have to say that yours did stand out, and correct me if I'm wrong, but yours is the only female figure in the final 6.
Yeah, it is.
So tell us a bit about your final, and we have a name, don't we, for her, because she is named after the old name for Cyprus, Aes Cyprium. And we all know that Cyprus is known, or named after, the copper mines of the time. So tell us a bit about your inspiration for Aes Cyprium.
Well, it's very hard to say where inspiration comes from, isn't it, really? Many artists will speak about just being the vessel, the tool for higher forces or whatever. I don't really know. I know that it's not helpful to question it, really. I just go with it because that's my job, you know. Where it comes from, I don't know, really.
You don't know where it comes from?
Not
because the reason why I'm asking you inspiration is, like, did you sit and start sketching, or did you envisage I mean, did you look at the location and think, you know what, a lovely, very quickly, very crudely, this is just a black and white printout of what we had from what you sent us here at BRTK, and there is, as we speak, there'll be the colour version as well. But very crudely, just seeing what she is. Here she is. She's holding a basket. She's down, you know, she's looking, she's hand, you know, pointing upwards. I mean, how did this come about? How?
It's a visual.
That's why I'm asking for inspiration.
It's a vision.
There must be something, because everyone else, I mean, the other contenders, the other finalists, a lot of them have used the traditional Cypriot peasant with the maybe, you know, looking like a shepherd, or, you know. In the
I really can't comment on any.
You can't on them, but you know,
in the exhibition.
A lot of them have used similar ideas, but yours really does stand out.
Thank you.
And so, I think probably that's one of the major reasons that you're in the final 6. I don't know what the other 70, 80 people presented. Do you think that you maybe have a slight advantage because you have been living on the island? Do you think, as an artist, what's your opinion about a competition like this or a project like this? Would you have been doing something like this if it was in, let's say, Greece or Turkey, you know, next door neighbours to us here? If somebody said to you, can you design something for Greece, would you enter, even though you hadn't lived in Greece or you hadn't lived in Turkey? Or do you think it doesn't matter?
Well, not that it doesn't matter. It just demands on time, really. In this day and age, with the internet and everything, when I first came out of college, I subscribed to Artist Newsletter and that sort of thing. And you can spend all your time just applying for things and submitting things and end up with nothing to show for it, really. So it was only because it's here and I live here and I like to think I have some sort of understanding of the place and the people. Yeah, otherwise, no, I wouldn't have...
Because I think you'd have to have some sort of connection. If the subject matter is a noble Cypriot peasant, then you'd have to sort of like know a bit about the island. Even though we don't want to go back into the past, because this is something that's going to be in the 20th century. You know, we're taking something, it's going to be something that's will live on forever, you know, way beyond our lifetimes. If it's going to be up there, a 40-metre statue that will be part of Cyprus's heritage for...
Oh, it's a big deal.
Then, you know, it's going to be something that will be relevant in 100 years' time. after we've all gone.
for centuries to come.
Is that something also that you thought about when you
Oh
were
yeah, permanence.
designing?
I think for not all sculpture has to be permanent, but the way I've worked in the past, my process has been about the distinction between the transitory decisions we make and the permanent decisions that we want to say this, distills the idea, this encapsulates, and it's as close to perfection as I can make it, because it's going to last forever. I think just psychologically it's an important, maybe like getting a tattoo or something. It's not something you should just rush into and if we come to regret it afterwards, it would be a disaster, wouldn't it? But
It is very interesting that this idea of yours, which, if you win, will be then financed somehow and built in the next year or two, or over how long it takes to build a 40-meter statue. I mean, when I went into the art rooms to see the models, next to each model are tiny figures. And I'm saying to Denise, are you telling me that this is actually to scale? She goes, yes, of course it's to scale. And we asked you as well on the radio.
Well, actually, those tiny figures would be tall people. If that figure is...
It's tall, even.
The maquette is 40 centimetres, so it's 100th of the size.
Yeah.
So that would be a tall person.
That'd be a tall person next to. And in your description, or what we have here, what you're saying for your plan, is actually quite an interactive structure, because you want to have an elevator that will take us up to the seed basket, and the seed basket that the AS Cyprium is holding, hopefully, will become a sort of restaurant and a viewpoint across the whole of Kyrenia into the Mediterranean Sea. What an amazing...
It would be spectacular,
That is an amazing sort
of... It doesn't have to be a restaurant. I mean, I'm just saying that that would be an internal
or a viewing
space,
gallery.
Of deck access, or could be lots of things. Could be a venue for signing the peace treaties.
Yeah, that would be wonderful, wouldn't it? A venue to sign the peace treaty and bring everyone in Cyprus together. But so that is actually, I mean, was that part of the idea at the beginning, to have something that we could actually all go and visit and go into and be part of the structure?
I think it's an important part. If I went to see Christ the Redeemer, well, everybody goes in the building. Again, he's standing on a building, and nobody's going to go and see it and not go in the building. The Statue of Liberty, one of the great things is to go up
there,
into the viewing galleries. The Eiffel Tower,
Yeah, you go...
You wouldn't go and see it and not go up it, would you? I mean, it just seems to me to be like that. And plus, it's a huge internal space, and why not use it? I mean, it could be so many things. When you think of that height, you're looking at 10 stories at least, so there could be galleries, there could be theatres, cinemas, it could be, this is what I would like, ideally, is a cultural centre for the whole island and the world, ultimately.
That is amazing. That is amazing. In the process of whittling down to the final 6, how did they do it? I mean, were you interviewed at all? You weren't interviewed, or
no, we submitted the biographies of the works and a proposal for the idea.
Yeah. And they got back to you saying that you are now down to the final 3, fingers crossed.
I believe so.
And hopefully in the very near future, the winner will be announced.
Well, as I said, I don't think it's the kind of thing that should be rushed.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to think about it after months of thinking of little else, So...
it should be the right decision.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
lots of deliberation.
As we said, this is going to be permanent. This is...
Because once it's up there, it's up there. Yeah. It's not coming down. Right. We didn't like it. We made the wrong choice. We wanted it to be the best choice. But it is an amazing feat for you, and to design it and to think about it. Is it the first time that you've ever actually thought on such a grand scale of 40 metres?
Seriously, yes. I mean, I think you're going to show some other works.
Yeah.
You see that these are small works, but I can see them as being, that kind of scale. But there was no proposal to actually make any of these, this was just in my mind. this has been the first thing. This is a once-in-a-time thing. It doesn't get any bigger than this for sculpture. This is bigger than any portrait commission or anything, really. I mean,
the pinnacle.
This is it, yeah. This is as good as it gets.
I'm getting just, excited about it, just thinking about it. I don't know how you're feeling waiting
I think it's a tremendously exciting.
Yeah. It's a great project, and also for Cyprus as a whole, as a way of putting Cyprus on the map. Very unique idea, and I think very clever idea of Erbil Alkan to bring everyone together. Those artists, the other finalists, or those who entered, who maybe had not thought about Cyprus at all, thought about Cyprus, so they put Cyprus on the map. So it's a very unique, very clever idea, and hopefully the final structure will gain worldwide recognition when it's up there, because it's going to be a massive a project. How do you envisage it being made? What is the... I know Cyprus is famous for its terracotta and its mud and its wonderful... we've got kilns here, we've got lots of people making lots of, clay work. How do you envisage Air Cyprian being built? What's the material that you would like it for to be used?
The material itself, I would like to see the skin, the face, the hands and the feet in a copper bronze, because that's the name, that's the island. It seems to work. Apparently, the proposal is now to go along the lines of Christ the Redeemer, which is clad. It's on a skeleton, an armature, and then it's clad in stone tablets.
Yeah.
That is the similar thing with local stone here. So she will be a pale grey colour, I would imagine. The dress, the body, the part, but the basket may be a different material. These things they're details. What's important, I think, is to have the vision, and then the will to do it. Because without those things, the vision, you don't know which direction you're going in, and if you don't really have the will, because obviously there's a lot of angles to this. Yeah. Most of which are out of my hands, they're beyond my control. So
of course, because you're the guy with the idea, but at the end of the day, you're not the one sponsoring it. You're not the one
negotiating with all the different interests and the. I know there are a million details in doing anything. So I mean, in doing this.
Because we're jumping ahead, aren't we? I mean, we're assuming that you've won and it will happen. Fingers crossed.
I'm not assuming.
I'm jumping ahead for you now. But let's say at the end of the day, when they deliberated and the judges have come back and yours has been chosen, and then obviously it's up to Erbil Alkan and Arocad to decide who's funding it, how it's going to be done, when it will be done.
I think he already has these things in mind.
He's already done this. Will you? I know that you're a hands-on sculptor. You're very much into. You're going to get your hands dirty with this. Will you be there from beginning to end, overseeing the project? Do you want to be there saying, "Well, I want this"?
As I said, I can see it from my sitting room.
Yeah.
So
you can see it come alive. So you want to be.
I would like to do time lapses. And
that
as well. That would be interesting. But,
do you believe
let's not get ahead of ourselves there.
Do you believe in fate and destiny, that you are here now at this time?
I kind of do, yeah.
Isn't it amazing that, a British talented sculptor, artist like you came to Cyprus at 10 years ago, during times of maybe, not a good time in your life. You had a family sadness, but you found peace here. You stayed on the island. You found your niche, and now all of a sudden, this project, and what a perfect project for you. Not many sculpture projects come along like this in a lifetime.
Once in a lifetime.
Once in a lifetime.
I mean, how often do these things ever get made?
On your doorstep.
Yeah, right there.
A project that was, I think, tailor-made for you. Am I being biased here? Am I now affecting every judge?
As I said to Denise, I'm incapable of objectivity.
You're very humble.
Thank you.
You want to be humble.
Well, actually, I'm very confident. I know I'm good.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's part of knowing yourself. You should know your strengths and know your weaknesses. There's no embarrassment to say, yes, I'm good at this. I'm not good at everything,
But you're good at this.
But I'm born for,
Half an hour is not enough to speak about Air Cyprian. We've got so many pages of pictures and everything. And all I can say to our viewers now, if you want to find out more, We don't know when this program is aired if the 6 models are still going to be on show at the art rooms in the Colony. But go down to the Colony and see if it's there at the art rooms. It might be there.
Well, I know the exhibition has been extended, but I also know they have a timetable of other shows and things
I think
like
it
that.
should be there. I think it's not going to be taken away just yet. I mean, we're in May at the moment. It's probably going to be... do you know how long it's been extended for? What date is it?
I think maybe this weekend. I'm not sure.
Okay,
so
we could be there.
I can find out. I'll find out.
Okay, let us know. And also, to find out more about you, you have a website which is onelove.com, and it's the number 1, isn't it?
Yeah.
Number1love.com, and we can find out more about Steve Anthony there. More or less.
Kind of.
Kind of.
You can see some more examples of my work. So.
If somebody wanted to meet you, Steve, where can we find you? Where do you hang out? I know that you are also a bit of a musician, and you like Studio Oniki, don't you? Which is by the Round Tower.
2-3 times, 2 afternoons, in the afternoons.
Right. So maybe if we come meet you at the Round Tower, somebody wanted to chat with you.
Sure.
Are you available there at Studio Oniki?
Sure.
Yeah. Right. That's the place to go.
Yeah. I'm there not just in the afternoons playing, but they have all sorts of interesting stuff going. Performance paintings, things like that. You know. It's great for the cultural life, and I would just like to applaud Mr. Arkin for having an impact. I said this to him when we met. He's had such an impact on the cultural life of this town. You know, before this, there was really nothing, and now there are openings every other week. You know,
yeah.
It's fantastic what he's done with Arcade, and he doesn't want to stop there, does he? So
yeah, he's got great ideas. He's got a great vision, and he's very interested in art himself. I know he's an art collector, so he's a great supporter of art. And what a way to support art and culture in this way with this project. I want to wish you all the best, Steve, for the future. Good luck with this project, and even if you are not selected, you, I think, should display your model somewhere. It should be somewhere displayed in a museum in Cyprus, because it's a beautiful, Air Cyprian, she's a beautiful piece of art.
Thank you.
And I congratulate you on your talent. And I hope to see you around in the future. And thank you for coming today to BRT.
Come down to Oniki.
Definitely, I will come and see you one day.
Great.
As a promise.
Great.
Thank you very much. And with that, we've come to the end of my very interesting conversation with Steve Anthony, sculptor, artist, and good friend of the island of Cyprus. And we will let you know in the future what happens, but watch this space, watch onelove.com, and also go to Aracade's website, and I'm sure you'll find out the results. It'll be in the press, it'll be everywhere, it'll be online, I'm sure, once the result is released in the very near future. Thank you for watching. Until we meet again, bye-bye.